The latest from our daily newsletter at podnews.net. Last Podcast on the Left has announced it's no longer to be a Spotify exclusive show. They've signed with SiriusXM's Stitcher and will be available in every podcast app, including Spotify, from February the 1st, 2022. They've been exclusive since February 2020. Spotify has claims it has more than 1,000 Spotify original podcasts. In a blog post focusing on podcast producers across the world, it's launching its first video podcast in the UK. Internet Sensation is available in both audio and video, much like Joe Rogan. It's hosted by Alex Elmsley, a YouTuber, and launched on Tuesday. iHeartRadio has announced the nominees for the 2022 iHeartRadio Podcast Awards. The ceremony will be on January the 13th in Los Angeles. Sounds Profitable has published a deep dive with Red Circle, a podcast hosting platform. Mike Cadin takes Brian Barletta through the tools and how podcasters can monetize their content. Congratulations to the winners of the New York Festival's Radio Awards Storytellers Gala. The BBC won Broadcaster of the Year, the UK's TBI Media won Production Company of the Year. Macmillan's Driving the Green Book won Gold for Narrative and Documentary. If you missed the IAB UK podcast upfronts, we link to the sessions from Fresh Air Production, Podfront, Dax from Global and Acast today. For Acast, their UK Plus Managing Director Georgie Holt reaffirmed Acast's commitment to an open podcasting ecosystem. And we link to a cool thing of the day. Today, French podcast host Audiomeans has published Podcast City, a mapped imaginary city of 486 podcasts. We're linked to a blog post with more information. It's complete with outdoor cafes, a medieval old town, a business district and parks. In fact, the only thing missing to make it properly authentic is an eye-watering expensive cafe au lait from a waiter who doesn't like you and wish you'd leave. In People News, Liz Aless, or is it Alesse? Anyway, she's been announced as director and executive producer of podcast programming for ABC News in the US. She'd been leading the podcast team for 6 months, and she joined ABC News in 2015. And Samir Adams has launched House of Howard, a company specializing in production, project management, and operations consulting. She'd worked at Gilded Audio and at Pinner. And in podcast news, What Are You Wearing is a new podcast from Mamma Mia Podcasts, calling itself the podcast for your wardrobe. It's produced by Rose Kerr. The series launch partner is clothes retailer H&M. Borrowed Future, a podcast from the Ramsay Network, is now available as a movie on Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV and Google Play. The movie is free to teachers. In the Queued Up podcast on podcasting, a bunch of well-known podcasters, but not me, help define podcast terms, which sometimes aren't as clear as you think. New from iHeartRadio is Real Time Crime, presented by top Clubhouse creator Leah Lamar and a TV personality Teddy Mellencamp. The two will be joined by investigative professionals who'll help listeners understand what goes into a high-profile case. And Object, Stories of Design and Craft, was launched today. It talks to 7 of Australia's master craftspeople in ceramics, jewellery, textiles and metal. Why does their work matter? How do they keep going? What's their advice for creatives? Will I ever stop asking questions? It's produced by the Australian Design Centre. And that's the latest from our newsletter. For all the links, we're at podnews.net.